In the summer of 2016, I was diving alone in the Puget Sound in Washington state. Now, it was the middle of the night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was about 60 feet underwater. Now, if any of you have dove in the Puget Sound before, you know that in the daytime, if you're 60 feet underwater in the Puget Sound, your visibility is low, a few feet, maybe 10 feet. Well, in the middle of the night, when it's pitch black, your visibility is zero. You can't see your hand in front of your face. I mean, you could literally put it right up to your mask. You cannot see it. The only thing that I could see was what's called a tack board. It's just a little plastic board that has two handles on either side. In the middle of it, it's got a glow in the dark compass and a depth gauge so that I can see what direction I'm going in and how deep I am. So I'm just swimming along, looking at my compass, trying to keep my azimuth, trying to keep my target destination in mind, and trying to maintain my depth at 60 feet. Well, not only is it perfectly pitch black, but the Puget Sound is full of jellyfish. And so I'm swimming along, and these jellyfish are just stinging me in the face, which is not a great thing to have happen to you when you're 60 feet underwater. Not the most pleasant of experiences. Well, anyways, but I'm going along, I'm doing what I got to do when all of the sudden, out of nowhere, something huge, I mean, something massive comes out of the darkness and it slams me directly in the face hard. And it knocks my regulator, my breathing apparatus, out of my mouth. So now I'm 60 feet underwater in the pitch black and I can't breathe. I don't have any air. But, I'm a trained diver, so I'm quickly able to relocate my regulator and put it back in my mouth. And then I reach down and I grab some chem lights out of my BCD, my buoyancy compensator device, and I crack them and I send them up to the surface to my surface boat, my dive boat, to let them know I've just been attacked by something. But this is something that they actually would have expected. And even though I couldn't see this thing that came after me, it's also something that I expected. Even though it's scary to happen out of nowhere, I knew it was coming at some point. As unnerving as that is, I knew it was coming. And the reason I knew it was coming is because the thing that attacked me, the thing that slammed me in the face, was a 600-pound bottlenose dolphin. Now, again, that probably doesn't sound normal to you, but the reason it was normal to me is because I worked at the time for the Navy Marine Mammal Program. I worked as a defense contractor for the Department of the Navy as a dolphin and sea lion trainer slash diver. And my job on this night was to be an opposing force diver. You see, in Bremerton or Silverdale, Washington, we have a nuclear submarine base. And all of our nuclear submarines are protected in port at all times by at least one Navy Dolphin and two Navy Sea Lions. And their job is they detect enemy divers if there ever was one. Their job is to find these divers and to stop them before any enemy diver could ever place a limpet mine on one of our ships. So that's what they do. And as an animal trainer, that was part of my job is occasionally, I would have to be the opposing force diver. I would have to play the target, play as if I was an enemy diver trying to place a mine on one of these ships. So they would drop you off hundreds and hundreds of yards, maybe half a mile out into the ocean. And your job is to look at that compass and maintain your depth. And you just dive towards one of these submarines and you try and reach one of the submarines. And if you reach the submarine, then the animal has failed its job. And the training team that's working that animal at the time has failed its job. But on this occasion, they did not fail. They found me. But what's funny is the reason the animal hit me in the face. You see, normally these dolphins are trained to hit you in the body. So what happens is I can't tell you exactly how it works because it's a secret program. If you're interested, go on YouTube or go to the Naval Museum in Silverdale. There's more information there, more than I'm legally allowed to tell you. But what happens is these animals are given equipment that they carry in their mouths. The dolphins, their job is to detect you, then they ram you over and over again. They basically mark your location. And then the sea lions, their job is to go down, and the sea lions are the ones that actually stop you. They arrest you. It's non-lethal, but it's very effective. Again, I can't tell you exactly how it works. But anyways, all that to say, the dolphins are trained to hit you in the body, where the impact of the equipment that they're carrying is going to be most effective. But the thing is, these animals are so smart and they have such individual personalities. I mean, they're literally like people. It's incredible to work with them. But they get angry. I mean, they're basically like maybe like 7 or 8 year old kids. They get mad. And this particular dolphin was mad. Now, they communicate with us when we send them out on their missions to go locate these divers. They come back and they communicate with us by touching a series of colored paddles that are attached to the side of our boat. So they'll touch them in a series and they will tell us in that way what they see. But what happens occasionally is they lie to us because when they're doing their job, we reward them for doing a good job by giving them food. And they, of course, are smart enough to know that. And therefore, they are smart enough to eventually begin to develop a habit of lying. So they'll come back and they'll touch the paddles and they'll tell us, like, I see this, 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 and this, and this. And, a lot of the time we don't believe them, but we will give them the equipment necessary to go do their job. And they'll go out and try and do it, but eventually, like, the gig is up because they'll get to a point where, like, okay, well, I actually didn't see what I told them I saw, so they'll just drop the equipment. And we know the difference between equipment that has been just dropped and equipment that has actually been deployed on a target. It looks very different. So when they just ditch the equipment, they just drop it, we know, like, okay, you definitely were just lying to us. And we won't reward them for that. Of course, we don't want them to lie to us. But if they do it multiple times and we don't reward them, but they're still out there doing what they think is work, they'll get ticked off. And so this dolphin, this night, he had been lying to his trainer multiple times, saying, like, oh, hey, I see a target, I see a target. Eventually, he really did see a target, but he hadn't been rewarded the multiple times before for, saying that he had seen a target and going out, swimming after one. So he was ticked off. The dolphin was angry. And so by the time he saw me, 60 feet under the water, middle of the night, he was pissed. And so he hit me right in the face. They're smart enough to know how we breathe underwater on scuba. I don't know how they're that smart. I don't know if they can hear it. I have no idea, but they're smart enough to know. And they know that they can stop us from breathing by hitting us in the face and taking that regulator out of our mouths. It's the craziest thing in the world, but I swear to you, they really are that smart. And when this dolphin saw me, he had it out for me and he just hit me right in the face. He said, you're not breathing anymore. But anyways, not a big deal as a diver. I found it. But, I know this issue is controversial for a lot of people, keeping these animals, dolphins and sea lions, in captivity. But I also want you to know they do provide an amazing service to this nation. They don't just stop enemy divers. We also use them to detect underwater unexploded ordnance and mines. We've used them in Iraq. We've deployed them all over the world to war-torn countries where we get rid of mines and UXO to make sure that people are safe. And also these animals work in open water. So if they ever want to run away, they completely can. They wear harnesses with a bunch of gear on them, but the harnesses have these zinc attachments on the attachment points to where if they choose to run away, if they were to just say, I'm done with this. And they ran away. Those zinc attachments will dissolve in salt water and they'll break apart and their harnesses will release. So they would just be like any other animal out there. They won't get caught on anything. That's happened a few times. Most of the time it doesn't, because, the animal does know that when it comes back home, it will get fed, and they're treated very well. We have an amazing team of doctors and veterinarians, trainers, assistant trainers, all for the animals. They get fed human grade food, like food that's fit for consumption for people. They have the best treatment in the entire world. Again, I know it's controversial. I know these animals are so smart. A lot of us don't want to keep them in captivity, but again, they do provide a very, 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 very valuable service to the United States. And they're just the coolest things in the world to work with.